Let us start Daf Yomi. So the Gemara is on the bottom of Samach Tesama Base. So we're going to talk on the bottom of 69b. Today's Daf Yomi is Daf Ayin is 70 from Mesechus Gittin. So we're going to start 5 lines from the bottom on 69b. So the Gemara tells us with Simre Bera. So let's say you have an external fever. What you do, then you should bring 3 basically amounts of date pits, and 3 sayin of leaves from a tree that's called the Ader tree. And then vinishal kinu kochad lechude, and you should cook each one by itself. V'leisiv beinayu, and after you cook them together, he should sit between them. V'lasvinu betarte mishichle, and he should put the 2 cooked foods in 2 different troughs. V'nesi pitora v'nanachilave, and he should bring a table. And he put the troughs on the table, and he should sit next to one of the troughs. And he should keep getting up from one trough and sitting next to the other trough. Until he is reaching the state where he is sweating. And when he drinks, he should drink from the Ader tree water and not from the date pit water, mishum demeikari, because date pits cause it goes sterile. We're on the bottom line of 69b with Simra Gavna for internal fever. Lacey Shiva Bune de Silka. You should bring 7 fistfuls of beets, Mishev Mash Are, from 7 different flower beds. And you should boil them together with their earth, and then you could eat them. And you shall drink from the Ader leaves with the mixed with alcohol, or from the grapevines that are hanging over a palm tree mixed with water. She says this is a type of boil that looks like a turnip. Bring 7 thick pieces of wheat, and burn them with new iron, and that'll cause some oil to come out from it. And take this oil v'neishuf and rub it on your boil. Rav Shimon bar Ashi did this for an idolater, for its saras. Davar acher here means saras, and he was healed. Why does it have to tell us for an idolater? I was thinking because he's not allowed to do that if he was a Jew, because the Jew has to go to the Kohen. Not allowed to remove the saras, but for an idolater he's allowed to. Amar Shmuel, Haman de Machule Bawonake de Parsai. And so this person who was struck down by a Persian sword, Michya, he's not going to live. But in the meantime, you have a few moments, Nisfue Bisre Shmena, Agumre, cook him some fatty meat over coals, V'chamra Chaya, and some undiluted wine, because that'll cause him to live a little bit. After the Chayi Porta, he'll have a little bit. Reminds of the phrase that Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai says, Hatzola Porta. Here we have a Chayi Porta. Hatzola Porta was for the base of Mikdash. He said, let me do at least a Hatzola Porta. The same expression, Chayi Porta. Mafkida Base, and then he could give some order, direction to his house. Amar Vidi Baravan, Haiman de Boa Zibura. Also, if you swallow a hornet, you're not going to live. But at the very least, you could drink revius of strong vinegar, after the chaye porta, maybe he's going to live a little bit to mafkid besa, give direction to his house. Amar Rabbi Shimon Levi, achol basar shor belefet. Let's say you eat some of the meat of an ox, and so you eat some of the meat of the ox with a turnip. And you sleep by the moonlight on the night of the 14th or the 15th day in the summer months. You're going to get this illness called achilu. The Gemara is going to talk about it. And if you completely are full from anything, you also get achilu. Even from dates. The Gemara says pshita. Well, it's obvious. We just said from everything. You might have thought dates were exempt. Because we know that the dates have all these benefits. What are the benefits? They cause you to have diarrhea, give you strength. They don't make your heart too delicate. So you might think that the dates are very good. So I might think it doesn't matter. Kamash Malan. My achilu. What is achilu? Amar Boazar Eisha Atzamos. The bones are on fire. My Eisha Atzamos. Amar Baye Eish Garmi. It's the bones. It's such a tremendous fire, fever of the bones. Mayasva, say how do you heal? Masu, say how do you heal the fever of the bones? Amar Baye Amar Liam. So Abai said, and my mother told me all the drinks are toss of a shiva of a trace are 3, 7, and 12. Vahai, but in this one, but for ochilo, what do? Adamatseikulu shakini, until you drink everything. Aliba rekana, you have to drink it on an empty stomach. Vahai basar da achal vishasi, and so all the other liquids you have to take after on an empty stomach. But for achilu, you have to take it after you eat and drink. V'aylo beisakise, you go to the toilet. V'nafik, you come out. Umashayadeh, and you wash your hands. Umaisule bune tishasisa tatalafa. You bring them a fistful of shasisa. She says it's a type of food that they make from the flour of lentils mixed with salt. Ubuna de chamra atikta, and also not only that, it's also coming from a fistful of old wine. You mix them together, and you eat it. And afterwards, you should wrap his body in the sheets and go to sleep. Nobody should wake him up. He gets up on his own. When he gets up, get rid of his sheets, his blankets. Why? If you don't do that, the achilu will return. So now Amarle Eliyahu, Rabbi Nazan Eliyahu appears. And he says to Rabbi Nasan, eat 1/3 till you fill up your stomach, drink 1/3 till you fill up your stomach, but leave over 1/3. Because when you get angry, your stomach becomes full, so therefore it has space to go and you won't explode. If you want to make sure you don't get a stomach pain, Kaitz v'choref sudasech. Have the practice to dip your food in the summer and in the winter. Sudasech, your meal, if you're really enjoying it, mishoch yadecha imena. Allah just says if you're really enjoying something, know how to pull back your hand. Don't completely absorb yourself in it. The B'nai Machshava Tova, the rabbi of the Warsaw Ghetto, Klonimus Kalman Shapira, he writes in his B'nai Machshava Tova, he says, when you're going for that coffee, be aware that when you put the sugar in, that's the devil You have to know how to control your temptations in life, and you need to work on it. That's what the B'nai Machshava Tova says. If you need to go to the bathroom, don't hold it in. He says, this person who drinks this bad wine, the bad white wine, he's going to get sick with vitek. It's like a feebleness. There are 60 types of wine. The best type of wine is this red wine, is this sumka, is this red wine, which has a good smell. But the worst wine is tilya chavira, is this white wine. So don't drink this white wine. Amar Rav Yehuda Haiman Diyasif B'tziparnei Nisan Gabi Nura. So this person who's sitting in the mornings of Nisan, Vishayif by the fire, Vishayif Mishcha V'nafik V'yasif B'shimsha, and then he rubs the oil on himself and he goes out and he sits in the sun. Achazaso vitek. He's going to get this illness called vitek. Tan Rabbanan Heikes dam v'shimesh mitaso. Somebody lets his blood and then he is mishamesh his nita. Havil banim vitkin. He's going to have children who are feeble. Ekizu shneim. If both the husband and the wife let their blood v'shimshu, and then they're mishamesh. Havil banim bali rasan. They're going to have this terrible illness. We learn about it in Gemara Ksubos, which Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi treated. Amar Papa, Amar Eladol time midi. That's only if you don't eat anything after letting the blood off. Time midi, listen, but if you eat something, you don't have a problem. Amar Rav Baravuna Bamin Aderach. Let's say you're coming home from the road, v'shimish mitaso, and in your mishamish or mita on the side, it adds in the word in the afternoon, meaning it's still daytime. Then habulo banim vitkin. You're gonna have feeble children. Tanu Rabbanan. You come straight from the toilet. Don't be mishamish ad sheyasha shir chatzi mil till you wait the time it takes to half a mil. Because there's a demon in the toilet, malava imo, and that demon is escorting him. And if you are mishamish, you'll have epileptic children. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught excuse me. Hamashamish mitaso me'umad. If you're mashamish while you're me'umad, ochazaso avis. You're going to get this illness that is called avis, which Rashi says is krampa, so it sounds like it's cramps. Miyushav ochazaso delaria. And if you're sitting, you have this illness that is called delaria. So that's like a swelling of the stomach. And that's another thing which you get delaria for. My delaria, the medicine for delaria is deradur. My deradur. He says, what's the way we deal with that? You give him morika dechochi. You take him some saffron that grows amongst the thorns. Rav Papa always uvale. Rav Papa would chew it and then swallow it. Rav Papi always v'shadile. Rav Papi would chew it and spit it out. Amar b'ayim mishein abaki b'derech eretz. Somebody who is having trouble conceiving a child or fathering a child. Reisi gimel kapizi kortimi dechuchi. Then they should bring him 3 utensils that can each hold 3 lugin, and he should have saffron that grew from a field which has sheep manure. And he should crush it up and cook them with wine and drink it. And Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, that brought me back to my youth. There are 3 things that cause a person to lose their energy. If you have fear of pachad derech, you have fear of traveling, va'avon. So the 3 things that cause a person to lose their strength are pachad derech va'avon: fear, traveling and sin. Pachad, because it says libi secharcher azavani kochi. Derech, traveling, because it says in the pasuk in Tehillim, ina v'derech kochi kitzar yamai. And avo and sin, because it says kashel ba'avoni kochi. Shlosh dvar matiz and gufo shel adam. Three things take away a person's strength. They will hain. Ochel mu'umad, if you eat while you're standing, show some mu'umad, you drink while you're standing. Shimesh mikusa mu'umad. You shouldn't do all these things while you're standing. You should do it like you have control over yourself. Chamisha krovin u'misa. There are 5 things that bring you closer to death. Yoser min hachayim. What are they? Elohein achal v'amad shasa. If you eat, you stand, you drink. Right after you eat, you stand up. Right after you drink, you stand up. Hikis dam v'amad. Right after you let your boy, you stand up. Yashem v'amad. You sleep and you right away stand up. Shimesh mitasav v'amad. If you're mishamish and then you stand. Shisha osan osamiyad. Maze are 6 things. If you do them right away, you die. Be'elein ababa derach v'netziyah. So let's say you're coming home from the journey. So and while you're still tired, hikis dam, you wet your blood. You come into the bath. V'shata, you drink. V'nishtakar, you get drunk. V'yashan agav, you sleep on the floor. V'shimish v'tasal, and you're mishamish. I'm Rabbi Yochanan Mushas and Kasidron. That's if you did them in order. I'm a buyer Kasidron mace. Shalom Kasidron chal. So I said if you do in order, you die right away. If you don't do them in order, you get weak. Eni vaha mu'uras avdoe avda tlas min ha'omis. But Mu'uras did 3 of these things with her servant, and she died. And so Mu'uras did 3 of these things with her servant, and he died as a result. Gemara says he was very weak. Shmona ruban kasha. There are 8 things which, if you do a lot of them, they're bad. Umiotan yafa, but if you do a few of them, it's good. Ve'oin derech, travel. Derech eretz. That's marital relations. Osher, wealth. Malacha, hard work. Yayin, v'shena, wine and sleeping. And chamin, taking hot baths. Rashi says to bathe and to drink. Actually, chamin, hot, bathing and drinking. I cause a stum, letting the blood. And shmona v'matam says there are 8 things cause you to have less seed. Ve'elein, melech, salt, rav, famine, vanetek, which is tsaras, v'chia, crying, v'shena, agabe karka, sleeping on the floor, v'gadgonios. These are like, I don't know, gadgonios is maybe like coriander. That's what Rashi says. And then you have kashut and hop, shalobismana, not in the proper time. Akazastam wamata kafayim. And if you let the blood out from below on your body, it's double bad. Tana kashem shikashal mata kafayim kach yafal mata. Just like it's double bad below, so it's double good above. Rav Papa says, Lamata, what does below mean? Lamata min abetzim. It means below the groin area. Lamala min abetzim, above that. Ukeshot shalom bizmana. What does it mean? Hops not in its proper time. Tana kashem shikashal shalom bizmana. Just like hops are bad out of season, kach yafa bizmana. In season they're good. Remember, Papa zmana tamuz. What's the time for hops? The summer. Shalom bizmana teves. Out of season is the winter. Yomi Nisam, Yomi Tishrei, or Malavo Kasher. If it's in between the seasons, Nisan and Tishrei, that's not bad and it's not good. Amar. So now back to our Mishnah. If a man say Kisu Gel Ishti Vachsu Kordaikus, if he says right again for my wife, and then he got Kordaikus, V'Chazar Amar Al Tuchtavu, and then he goes back and says don't write. Ein Dvaram V'Achron Klum. The latter things doesn't mean anything because he has Kordaikus, so we don't trust him. Amar Shimon Lakish. So let's say he has Kordaikus, and he had already told you to write the get. Kosvin doesn't get out, or you could write the get immediately. Rabbi Yochanan says, "En Kosvin el ksheyish tape." He says, Rabbi Yochanan says, no. You only write the get when he's healed. You can't write it while he has the Kordaikus, even though he told you to write it. My time, Rish Lakish say you can. The Katani emit v'arbachronim klum, because the Mishnah says the final words mean nothing, meaning so you could write it. Rabbi Yochanan amar emit v'arbachronim klum. That means it means when he gets healed, you don't need to ask him again. You don't need to go back and ask him. But really, you can only write it when he's healthy. What's the core dispute? Rish Lakish compares him to somebody who's sleeping. Somebody asks you to give the get for him, and then he goes to sleep. Of course, you can give the get. Rabbi Yochanan and Damileo Shot. Rabbi Yochanan compares with somebody who's insane. Somebody who's insane is not able to give the get. Rabbi Yochanan Damileo Yashan. What is Rabbi Yochanan comparing to somebody who's sleeping? It says Yashan lo mechusar ma'aseh is sleeping. You don't have to do anything to him. He just needs to wake up. But I'm mechusar ma'aseh. But this person who's sick needs to be healed. Reish Lakish nami nedamileo Shota. Why does Reish Lakish compare it to an insane? Where it says Shota. He says a sick person, an insane person, we can't heal. But this person who has kerdaikas, sameh biyadan, we can heal him. So therefore, it's different. What's the medicine? Bisra sumka agumre, red meat or lean meat on coals. You put the lean meat on the coals, the chamra marka, and diluted wine, and that will heal him. And the Gemara says, "Miyam Rabbi Yochanan, does Rabbi Yochanan really say that if he has that you can't write the get if unless the person who asked to send it is right now of a clear state of mind." Let's say there's a person who was being attacked and they slaughtered two of his trachea, his esophagus, or the majority of them. And then he made a demonstration with his hand and he says, "Kisvu gel ishti," and he says, "Write the get for my wife." That means write it and give it. So you see, even though he wasn't of sound mind, then he said you can rely upon it, write the get. Let's say you saw him, his legs and arms being severed, or being crucified. And he says, write the get for my wife. There too, under those circumstances, you write it and you give it. Gemara says it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. In those cases, that of Shmuel and the Brisa, his mind was clear. He's just beginning to die because he's weak. But in this case here, his mind is not of sound mind here because he's insane. He's got gordaikus. So therefore, we don't rely upon it. Does Shmuel really say this? Does Shmuel really say this position that if a person is being killed and he orders a get, it's considered a get, and you give it? Does Shmuel really say this? Let's say you cut off his, like you give him this mortal wound, and he runs away. We testify about him that he's dead. And if Shmuel can say he could still live, why would we testify about him? Mar says, yeah, at this moment he's alive, but eventually he's going to die. And so therefore, it's still a get, but you could testify him that he died. If that's the case, if you kill him at that point, you should have to go into exile if he's still alive. Why do we say that if you killed him after he received this mortal wound in his trachea and esophagus, that you don't go into exile? So Mar says, yeah, we learned about that. We're concerned maybe the wind got into him and killed him. Or inami, who kirebes, maybe this guy brought about his own death. My benayu, meaning to say the person who was killed, it wasn't the person who killed him accidentally, but maybe the guy who was killed was somehow brought about his own death. My benayu, what's the distinction? Let's say you kill him in a place where there's no wind. And the case of where he was moving around like a death rattle. Or inami the shachta b'barav, or let's say you slaughtered him outside and he didn't do a death rattle. So therefore, if you're worried about the wind, there's no wind in the marble house, but there is the pier case. So depends which approach you're taking. And if you do it outside, there's wind, but there's no pier case. For some reason, he didn't do the death rattle. Let's say he's quiet. He lost the ability to speak, and we say to him, should we write a get for your wife? We allow him to nod his head. So the Gemara says, how can we do this? Maybe he's bowing down. Maybe he's just bowing down. So the Gemara says, no, the lav napte. No, so the Gemara says, no, we don't have that concern because Or not, why do we have to be concerned that maybe he got this illness where he's always nodding his head? And so therefore he doesn't really intend to, that's what Rashi says, this illness of insanity, that he learns how to always nod his head either yes or no. And he's not really responding to their question. So Amar Rav Yosef says, Amar Rav Yosef Bar Menyumi, Amar Rav Nachman, meaning to say we wait in between the questions. We don't ask him right away. We wait like a certain amount of time, and then we ask him again. So the Gemara says, maybe that's exactly what they taught him, to shake your head every so often. The Gemara says, no, we ask him one question where the answer is no, and afterwards we ask him two questions where the answer is yes. Then another two questions where it's no, and then another question where it's yes. And so we give him this test. We say to him, if he needs something for the summer when it's winter, or something for the winter in the summer. What are these things? And Sadine, if you want to say, maybe you ask him if he needs like a winter coat or like a summer coat. Maybe he's got this, maybe he's just cold or hot. Maybe he's got this ailment where he always feels cold or he always feels hot. That's no proof. Period. We asked him about the fruits, Rashi says, which are out of season. Rashi says, Tzrishash in the winter, or Nishbula in the summer. These are the different types of fruits, which Rashi says, and these are in the Rashi, Kirshan and Chazarim. I don't know what these are. We can look it up, but let me see in the back of the Rashi, see if they have here. Let's see what these fruits are. See if they define them. Okay, hold on. Cherries, yes. Oh, tirshash is like cherries. Sirishash, cherries, and in the summer, nishbuach shasak. You know what shasak is? I don't know what that is, but all right. Have a great day. Shkoyach
is the word for kumquat.
Kumquat. Okay, so that's it. That's what it is. Cherries and kumquats. Okay. Shkoyach.
Have a great day. Bye, Rabbi Yosef.
Okay, shkoyach.